So, like many Americans and Europeans, I really had no idea what to expect when I went to Turkey. And I wasn't sure in Istanbul if I was even going to be able to drink. And in retrospect, that's really silly because Turkey is so incredibly European. Uh, but I thought it was going to be very Middle Eastern and very Arab. And it being Muslim, I was halfway expecting people to be praying in the streets. So needless to say, it was a little bit of a shock when I got there and I discovered that they had this vibrant bar district. So I ended up going out to the bar district with a couple people from my hostel, another American guy, an Austrian guy, and this fantastic Kiwi girl. It was quite hilarious and quite adventurous. And so we're walking around. It's probably a Tuesday night in the dead of winter in Istanbul. And so we're walking around and we keep closing down all of these different bars. One bar, another bar, another bar, another bar. Next thing we know, it's about 4:30, 5:30 at night. And we really know that we want one more beer, but we're not quite sure where to go because everywhere's closed. And I'm like, oh, all right, this isn't going that well. Let's just call it a night while we're ahead and hop in a cab. Kiwi girl's like, no. We've got to go one more place. And we're walking by this door to a place that looks like a nightclub. And so right as we're walking by what I look at as a nightclub, and I'm like, I don't want to do a nightclub. She asks him and she's like, hey, is this a club? And the guy's like, no, it's a bar. And she's like, do you serve beer? The guy's like, yeah, we got beer. So we don't think about it. We don't look that closely. It's fairly late in the night. So we make our way up the stairs, and none of us apparently are paying much attention. And so we get up to the top, and we walk into this place, and the Kiwi girl, thank God, says, this round's on me. So she heads off to the bar to grab the beers, and we go and we sit down. And so I'm looking around and I'm thinking, boy, this place looks really interesting. It's really dark, and it's all black and red, and it's full of really large men in suits. And these guys are all bouncers. So we walk in from the first room into the second room, and suddenly, as I kind of pan and I take in the room, I start on the right and I see a pretty girl by herself sitting at a table, a pretty girl by herself sitting at a table, a pretty girl by herself sitting at a table, a pretty girl with an old man, a pretty girl with another old man, and I pause, and I think to myself, never been in a brothel, but this seems artificial, or like it's going to be one of the honeypot schemes. So I'm like, crap. And so I kind of look at the Austrian guy, and he looks at me, and as we sit down, we kind of, it's like, this is some sort of special place, right? And he's like, yeah, we're definitely in some sort of brothel or something. And so, but by this time we've already lost the other American guy, and he walked in, didn't register that there was something fishy with it, and is just honed in on one of the pretty girls. And so we look over, and we're not sure if he realizes that these girls are probably coming with a pretty hefty price tag, or just doesn't care, or is completely oblivious to the fact. So at this point, the Kiwi girl, she gets back with all our beers, and we're sitting there, and we're all kind of chatting about it, and murmuring, and looking over at the American guy, and he's been having a really good night. And you can just see on his face, this girl is talking to him, is responsive, so he feels like he's killing it. And so we're sitting there and we're trying to figure out, should we say something? How do we get him back over here to see if he knows what he's doing? And I mean, after all, who knows? Maybe he's down with whatever they're selling. So we're drinking our beers, and then finally he looks over and he sees all of us kind of looking at him and laughing, and so he comes over and sits down. But then before we can actually kind of catch him up on what's going on, the girl follows him over, and this old gentleman in a suit also comes over, connects with the girl, and now he's thinking that the girl is with this old guy, but it turns out that the old guy is kind of her manager, shall we say? And we're kind of following it, but he's still oblivious to what's going on. So he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And so he sits down. But the old guy's like, oh, no. And he takes the girl's hand, takes the girl's arm, and guides her to the inside of the booth. And so where she straddles him and comes across and comes over him and then is sitting next to him. And so at this point he's sitting there and he's like, what's crap. But he's also really happy that the girl's still there because the connection still hasn't hit. But we're kind of trying to save him at this point in time. And the Kiwi girl, she leans in and she's like, oh, come on, I don't think your missus would approve. And he's doesn't make the connection, and so he's like, my missus? I don't have a missus. And so she looks at him. The Austrian guy and I kind of chuckle a little bit, and she leans in and she's like, do you want herpes? He says, no. She's like, then from now on, agree with everything I say. So at this point, the guy is basically, the pimp, the fixer, whatever he is, has decided that he obviously wants a girl, he just must not want this girl. So he takes that girl away and brings another girl. And so at this point, our buddy is figuring out what's going on. And now he's got this like innocent, traumatized look on his face. And so we're just a mess because we're finding the whole thing absolutely priceless, but we're still a little concerned. So we decide, all right, it's time to finish our beers and it's time to leave. So we down our beers, we're getting ready to go. And but the poor American guy has to use the restroom. So I'm walking out and I'm walking towards the door and I look over and there's the bathroom door, which is black. And then there's this other door, which is also black, but obviously not the bathroom door. And the poor guy grabs the handle to that door and opens the door. And from where I can see, I see just a well-lit hallway that has doorways on either side, which are probably bedrooms. One of the bouncers who had been tolerating it just comes running over and slams the door shut and then gestures at the bathroom right next door. So our buddy hops in the bathroom. And I step out, and I realize that the door that we've come in through is an incredibly heavy metal door that doesn't have a window in it, and that there's a little metal slider on the right-hand side, and behind that there's a red light. And so that is the Turkish brothel that I ended up in. Never thought that there were public brothels of that nature, or had any idea it was possible. And that is how I ended up in the only brothel I've ever been in my life, and it was a fantastic experience. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and please check out Virtual Wayfarer for additional information, and definitely subscribe, and I'll have more great updates for you soon.